Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be filming a Draw My Life video to just show you guys a little bit more about my life and show you guys how life was before I had 3 babies. So basically, my life starts with my mom and my dad meeting. My all-American mom moved from Texas to Germany and met my dad through mutual friends due to both of their love for music. She loved to sing and he composed. Together they made albums together and fell in love. Dreamy, right? Both of my parents had already been married. My dad had 2 daughters, Julie and Louise, and my mom also had a daughter, Tatiana. In 1995, they moved from Germany to Los Angeles, California with my sister Tatiana. On June 8, 1998, in Koreatown, Los Angeles, I was born in a birth center. My mom labored in water and pushed me out in what she calls a painless and very blissful birth experience. She even wrote a book about it. I was raised on Venice Beach, right by the ocean, as a free, artistic spirit, always led to follow my heart and dreams. I always was very close with both of my parents. They raised me to love eating plant-based. From a young age, I can remember loving anything that allowed me to use my imagination and create. I was always wanting to try new things, and my parents were always supportive, whether it was drawing, knitting, playing the violin, piano or guitar, or a key part of my childhood, acting. Somewhere in between years 3 and 5 are when my parents decided it was better off if they weren't together, and they co-parented me in a very gentle and spontaneous way. They lived near each other, so it was always pretty easy to hop back and forth. When I was 5 years old, I was enrolled in the coolest school in the world, Wildwood Elementary. This school showed me what it meant to enjoy learning in every facet. Even though my parents were humble earners, they sent me to a smaller, progressive private school that I honestly loved and thrived in. And for the most part, I had the best peers. I was always the type to want to be friends with everyone and hop from group to group. I've always been a bit of a joker, and I've loved anyone who I can just talk with. Always loved school and loved to learn. At 5 years old is also when I started acting and modeling, because my 13-year-old sister Tatiana had decided she loved acting and wanted to do commercials. I would watch my sister do her thing with admiration in my eyes. So one day, I asked my mom if I could do it too. Although hesitant because of my age, we decided to take the plunge, and we sent my picture to a few different agencies in Los Angeles. We ended up signing with one, and from around 5 years old to 11 years old, I was set into a rotation of going to a school that I loved and going to a ton of auditions. Sometimes I would have to leave school for auditions or a job. Sometimes I would be sad to leave, but most times I loved it with all my heart and found it really fun. By 4th grade, I had the best friend group of life. It was me, Lace, Adeline, and Lucy, 4 best friends, and we did everything together. Adeline and I were inseparable though, and we would do anything for each other. We were exactly the same and got along so well. By this time, my mom had also started dating other people, and my mom, Tatiana, and I moved in with my mom's boyfriend, Rob. This ended dramatically towards the end of 5th grade, the end of elementary school, and my mom had decided she wanted to move to New York City. My sister was going off to college in upstate New York. She thought it would be a good place to start fresh, a new chapter, and I could continue to act and model there. So we packed up and left, the 3 of us across the country. I was sad to leave my friends and everything I ever knew, but at the same time, I was totally into it and so excited to embark on a new journey and experience new things like cold weather and the city that never sleeps. I enrolled into the Professional Children's School on the west side of Manhattan and focused so much on acting. It was a school based around letting kids pursue their talents. So I was surrounded by dancers, gymnasts, visual artists, all very interesting. I had the biggest crush on this boy, Al, with a great personality, and he was also on the show The Naked Brothers Band. He liked me too, and I had my first kiss watching Dear John in theaters. So although New York seemed like a light new chapter, things actually took a really sad turn. My mom started having tingles and numbness in her legs along with brain fog, and in 2009, after extensive scary testing, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. We weren't really doing well financially, and my mom could completely not work due to her physical state. It was a really tough time. I remember having a lot of anxiety about it and constantly fearing losing my mom, my best friend. All I wanted was for her to have her full body and to feel good. My dad ended up swinging through New York City while we lived there for a few months, but eventually decided it was in his best interest to move back to Germany. I kept in contact with my friends from Los Angeles, but especially my bestie Adeline and her family. Adeline had overall not coped that well with me moving away because we were so close and our friendship was so unique it was hard to be apart. After a rather eventful year in New York City, we decided it was too hard to live there with our situation. We were going to move to Texas because that's where my mom's family lives and we thought we would have the most support. But one day we got a phone call from Adeline's family and they said basically that they would do anything for us to move back. They wanted to help us get back on our feet while my mom was improving her health in the stable place where I grew up. So we moved into this apartment that was an extension of Adeline's dad's office building. They were so generous and loving. We could no longer afford private school, so for 7th grade, I had my first go at public school. How do I put this lightly? I was not a fan. I had my first experiences in seeing true mean girls and cliques and had teachers where their passions and liveliness had seemed utterly diluted. It was the first time learning felt like a drag and not like an honor. I had made a great group of friends and even though they all knew each other forever, they did a really sweet job at helping me feel as welcomed as possible. It was 7th grade, the year that I had my first experiences with feelings of depression and anxiety to strive for perfection, whatever that meant to me. I can just remember feeling a lot of sadness with not actual specific reasoning to back it up, other than the whole picture didn't feel good to me. The biggest reason I was feeling these feelings is because I didn't like school. 8th grade rolled around and I told my mom I could not attend the same public school again. We moved out of Adeline's family's office building up into a tiny pink hut in the Santa Monica Mountains off of Pacific Coast Highway. It was one big room with a kitchen and an upstairs treehouse attic space that was only accessible through the outside. We also had a detached bathroom that was about 20 feet down some rock steps. The upstairs was my room. In 8th grade, I felt a lot more like myself and a lot happier. I was doing what I loved and in nature. Did online school while my mom did everything she could to heal or minimize the symptoms of her untreatable multiple sclerosis. She juiced and cut out wheat, dairy, and sugar and was able to see dramatic differences in her physical state. She went back for an MRI and lesions that had previously been on her brain had actually disappeared. So although it wasn't going to go away fully, she had managed to totally minimize all of her symptoms through natural medicine and diet. In the 8th grade, I was back to focusing on acting and actually auditioned for a Nickelodeon show pilot called Marvin Marvin. I ended up getting 3 callbacks and was one of the few people they were deciding between for a lead role. I was devastated when I didn't land it, but I knew it was for a greater purpose deep down. For 9th grade, I went to a charter school in town where I knew a lot of kids. Due to circumstances, in the middle of the year, my mom decided she wanted to move to Texas. Since I was somewhat settled and comfortable in my school, Adeline's family decided to extend the offer for me to stay with her family while I finish up the school year. So I stayed with Adeline until the end of the year and then that summer moved to Texas and started online school again. Texas never really felt like home to me, although we always had family there. Meanwhile, my sister had moved to Kauai, Hawaii after her college experience. She followed her best friend. I hadn't seen my sister in a couple of years and I was longing to go see Hawaii for the first time, as I had always heard of its majestic beauty. So in 2013, I visited Kauai, Hawaii for the first time for 2 weeks, and I had the most amazing time seeing the special spots here on this beautiful island. During that time, I also briefly met one of my sister's friends. He was so shy and his cheeks turned bright red when we spoke. He loved to surf and talk about the stars. I returned back to Texas and finished my sophomore year. I really wanted out of Texas, as I felt it was just not the place for me. So I begged and begged and begged my mom to move to Hawaii with my sister. My mom wanted me to be happy and she knew how dedicated I was in school, that I wasn't the type to let my grades slip up. So summer of 2014, I moved to Kauai, Hawaii. It wasn't long before Dolphin Boy showed up and was inviting me to Turtle Caves and holding my hand in the Mermaid Cove. We had bonfires, stared at the stars, and got closer and closer. It wasn't long before we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We have always been fascinated with how opposite we are and how it works. May 2015, after around 9 months of dating, we found out we were pregnant at ages 17 and 18. Naya was just graduating high school. I had 1 semester left. Naya hopped straight into working landscaping. I didn't tell anyone except my sister and my close friend and neighbor for weeks. Naya's family knew quickly and they were very supportive. I was scared and felt vulnerable, but I knew I loved what I was growing inside of me and that everything was going to be okay. I didn't tell my mom until I was 16 weeks because I didn't want her to be disappointed in me. She was instantly full of unconditional love and support, thank goodness. I somehow made the decision to stop talking to a lot of people from where I grew up because I knew that this new chapter of my life would not make sense to a lot of my old peers, and I didn't really want to put myself out there for them. At 20 weeks pregnant, we went in for a typical anatomy scan to ensure our baby's health and possibly see the gender. And we were shocked to find out that there was not 1, but actually 2 babies growing inside my womb. The emotions were indescribable, a combination of sheer terror and pure bliss all at once. When we found out we were carrying 2 boys, we were even more shocked. It wasn't until minutes later that we found out it wasn't all joyful news. Our baby boys are Modi identical twins, sharing a single placenta, but each having their own sac. Our sons were diagnosed with stage 4 twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, an intrauterine disorder of the placenta of identical twins where the connecting blood vessels are not balanced. Therefore, one is receiving too much and one too little. In my case, twin A, Kekai, was getting too much and twin B, Coda, too little. And we were then told of the devastating news that most cases of TTTS have a 60 to 100% mortality rate in utero left untreated. I was immediately referred to a specialist in Los Angeles, where I grew up, for a consultation for an intrauterine laser ablation surgery, where they sever the connecting blood vessels in hopes of evening out the levels of nutrients available for both twins. By the time we got to the consultation, the disorder had improved to a stage 2, and they do not perform the risky surgery unless the TTTS is a stage 3 or above. So we made our way back to Kauai at 23 weeks pregnant, scared as heck to come back to doctors that are seemingly not as knowledgeable. On the early morning of October 23, 2015, at 27 weeks along, I woke up to losing my mucus plug. I was terrified, but I had an ultrasound appointment at 1 in the afternoon to check in with the babies. So I texted my midwife if I should run to the emergency room or wait until my appointment later on, and she advised me just to wait because she didn't think it was a big deal. So I waited and ignored my instincts that told me it was the real thing. By the time we made it to the appointment, it was clear on the ultrasound that my twin B, Coda, was not doing well. He was motionless and he had seemed to stop growing. It was so scary. This moment right here was one of the scariest of my whole life. Most of it's a blur after that. I was wheeled down to labor and delivery, and I remember telling the doctors, no, I don't need labor and delivery. You must be mistaken. I'm only 27 weeks pregnant. We were medevaced to Oahu on a helicopter because the medical attention me and the babies needed at this point was beyond what Kauai had to offer. They didn't know I was in labor at this point. Nobody checked me despite my complaints of pain and discomfort. When I got to Oahu, it was clear my contractions were bad and I was in true labor, so they decided they wanted to try to stop it. But all attempts failed, and they ended up delivering my boys via C-section at 2:59 a.m. and 3:01 a.m. They were 1 pound, 12.2 ounces, and 1 pound, 4.5 ounces. Kekai and Coda. The most beautiful, tiniest alien-like things I'd ever seen. I loved them instantly with all of my heart. Our life had changed forever, and our boys were now the center of it. We lived, ate, and breathed the NICU. We stayed in a hotel and traveled every day to the hospital to be with our babies for 3 months straight until we could take them back home to Kauai. It was such a struggle, but with time we made it through obstacles and the babies grew healthy enough to come home. It wasn't clear to us right away that our son Coda was physically disabled in his upper extremities. Doctors tried to tell us it was from prematurity and it would correct itself. But before we left the NICU, we were given the proper diagnosis of Arthrogrypsosis multiplex congenita. I'm so blessed to be the mama of my kids, but it's truly a blessing to walk this earth with Coda as my son. He takes on life with the most beautiful spirit, and I know that with love and support and his driven mentality, he will get everywhere he wants. So anyways, we were able to get our own sweet cottage to come home to on Kauai with our boys, and we painted it bright blue. It was hard caring for twins, so tiring and beyond what I thought I would be doing at my age, but I've always found so much joy in nurturing them. Doctors told us they wouldn't grow like others or meet milestones like others, but they were able to defy all the odds against them. They were unable to nurse due to poor latch, so I pumped for over a year for them, day and night. I cried sometimes on the pump because I wanted it to be easier. Why was I given these challenges? I knew it was a special mission God had given me, so I always just continued to move along with a grateful heart. Fast forward to February 2017, our twins were growing beautifully, and we fell pregnant with another baby, our third baby as teens. Naya worked hard to support us, and we moved into a gorgeous apartment above my good friend who was also pregnant, due 2 months after me. I wanted a baby girl so badly. I got the blood test done at 10 weeks, and we found out baby was as healthy as can be, and a girl. I was so happy. I knew very quickly I wanted to name her Everly and call her Ever. August 2017, I posted my very first YouTube video. I'd always dreamed to do it and watched quietly. I really wanted to take my turn at creating and having a hobby aside from being a mom. I'd always dreamed of having a home birth and thought there was no greater time than now. So on October 20th, 2017, I delivered Everly Isabella Dawn at home after laboring in the tub at 9:11 p.m. It was an amazing experience. So empowering. I felt so grateful to have had two very different labor and birth experiences. After we had baby Ever, we started really getting into vlogging and posting regularly and actually growing our channel. All of you have changed our life, and I feel so honored to know you guys. We're now living at Naya's dad's with his 6 siblings, living the big family Hawaii life dream until we find our perfect home. We take pride in nurturing our kids from the outside in, allowing them to bask in Mother Nature and learn through experience. We love where we are, and even though life takes unexpected turns, anything unexpected and unfamiliar can be turned into something beautiful. So that's pretty much my life for you guys. Details and all. So I hope you enjoyed this Draw My Life and learning more about me. Leave down below some video suggestions so we can know what you guys want to see. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more. We'll see you tomorrow.